And welcome to the session in which we will discuss what are data privacy laws and what's the purpose of these data privacy laws. Now, data privacy is becoming an important topic on the CPA exam, so you need to be familiar with the overall picture, and this is what we will do in this session. What are data privacy laws and what's the purpose of them? So, data privacy laws is about how data is legally collected, stored, managed, and shared, at the same time ensuring it's used in a way that respects the privacy of the individual. Simply put, we purchase things online using credit cards. We surf the internet for product. We communicate online. So we want to make sure that our data is being collected, stored, managed, and shared if necessary in a way that respects our privacy, protect our privacy. It deals with the proper handling of data concerning consent. What can you and cannot do with my data? Notice, let me know about what you can and cannot do, and follow regulatory obligations. From a regulatory perspective, maybe government or private agencies, you want to follow those regulations. We can think of data privacy laws as a subset of data security, because for the data, in order to protect the data, for one thing, the data has to be secured. Also, privacy laws around the world are different. We're going to see later that the European are more restricted than the US. And we're going to look at different data privacy laws later on. But you have to understand it differs from continent to continent or from country to countries. These laws regulate various types of information. It includes personal, health, financial, and genetics data. So data privacy laws would include everything about the individual. Simply put, your personal information, name, addresses, physical addresses, tax ID or social security, your health record, your financial data, even your genetic data as well. These privacy laws imposes rules on processing, movement, and handling of this data, often providing the individual, it means the person that you collected data about, the right to know what data is being stored about them and how is it being used by them. But the most important thing is to know what is the purpose of data privacy. And we know what data privacy is, how the company is handling this data. And again, why is this important for the CPA and the CPA exam, for accountant? Well, when we audit a company, now part of their compliance is making sure their data is secure and it's protected and it's following regulatory agencies that deals with data privacy. So let's start by looking at the purpose of data privacy laws. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, farhatlectures.com. Farhat Accounting Lectures is a supplemental educational tool that's going to help you with your CPA exam preparation as well as your accounting courses. My CPA material is aligned with your CPA review course such as Becker, Roger, Wiley, Gleam, Miles. My accounting courses are aligned with your accounting courses, broken down by chapter and topics. My resources consist of lectures, multiple choice questions, true-false questions, as well as exercises. Go ahead, start your free trial today. Well, we're going to list various purposes just to kind of give you an idea of the importance of it, because this is an introduction to the topic. For one thing is it's obvious, for the protection of personal information. Well, this protection is just not about unauthorized access. You don't want someone to access your information. It's also about establishing rules for fair, safe, and lawful collection. You don't want to collect data that you really don't need. You're not using it for that purpose. This means individual can expect their data to be accurate, whatever you're collecting about me, used for the purpose you said you wanted it for. You're collecting this data for a purpose. You only use it for that purpose. And once you don't need it, you dispose of it. This is all for the protection of my personal information. Also, I have individual rights, privacy rights. You want to uphold those. The data privacy laws grant the rights to individuals regarding their personal data. What type of rights we can have? Well, the right to access the data, correct the data if it's inaccurate, whether it's about your address, phone number, credit information about your credit report, erase data if you want it to be erased, or restrict its processing and object to its use in certain circumstances. For example, you don't want it to be used in direct marketing. You cannot sell my information or share it with an agency. These laws put some control back in the hands of the individual, allowing them to understand and dictate how data is used. And this is basically, that's why we need it, to uphold individuals' right. And this is more accurate when it comes to, again, to the European. We'll talk about that later on. Also, another purpose for it is to regulate how data is being processed. These laws establish guidelines of how business and other organizations process your personal data. This includes who can process it, who can process the data, for what purpose, and under what conditions. And some laws would require organizations to have lawful basis for processing personal data and mandate that they stop processing the data if they no longer have the basis. Once they have it for a particular purpose, to process, to make the sale, or to make this purchase, that's it. Once it's done, you're not supposed to use it in any way, shape, or form. Also, the data privacy laws will promote transparency, often require organizations to be transparent. Tell us why do you need this information, notifying me, individuals. And I'm pretty sure you receive notification via email or via mail. They still send some notification about the mail, how the data is being collected, usually before you sign up for a service. That's what they do. Who reads them? But nevertheless, that's the purpose of them. How it's being used, whether it's being shared with a third party, and how individual can exercise the right. What can you do about them? Basically promoting transparency. So transparency requirement help build trust between individuals and organization. Also, other purposes is security measures. I want to make sure my data is secure. Therefore, typically require organization to implement appropriate security measures to protect personal data. Well, we talked about it, from unauthorized access. That's one of the things. From disclosure, from any alteration, changes, or destruction. So you want to protect my data. This includes physical security measures, cybersecurity tools, access control, and employee training. And we'll talk about those later on, how data is protected. But that's the purpose of the data privacy laws, is to force you to have protection. Now I'm going to make it legal. I'm going to hold you accountable. Also, data could transfer from one country to another. In a globalized world, personal data often needs to cross international borders. So what's allowed here may not be allowed in Europe, or vice versa. So we need laws to determine what's allowed and what's not. Usually, those privacy laws will have provisions for this situation, ensuring that your data is protected when it's transferred to another country, because they could have different sets of rules. Other purposes for data privacy laws is accountability and enforcement. Kind of they all work with each other. These laws establish mechanisms to hold data processors and controllers accountable in case they misuse this data, and how they handle your data. So you want to hold them accountable. This includes requirement for maintaining records of data processing activities, conduct privacy impact assessment, what would happen if you lose my data, appoint data protection officers if need be, just people who are in charge of protecting your data, and report any data breaches to authorities and the people who are affected. And they could also establish penalties in certain circumstances for non-compliance, including fines and other sanctions if they misuse. So you want accountability and enforcement, and this will be part of a data privacy laws. I'm hoping you are seeing the importance of why this topic is now being tested on the CPA exam. Also, what's important is building trust. By enforcing standards and practices, data privacy laws will help trust between users, because most likely you are listening to this recording. You could be a subscriber. You could be a subscriber in the US, you could be a subscriber in India, you could be subscribers in the Middle East. Well, this is a global economy. When you give me your credit card information, when you give me your address, your phone number, you expect me to protect it. And that's why it's going to build trust in a digital economy. And this trust is crucial for healthy, functioning digital economy in which we are living in. So that's why, again, why it's on the CPA exam. This is how transactions are being done. You don't go down the street to your local store. You go online, to your favorite store online, and purchase. And your local store online could be on another continent. So users feel their data is safe. Therefore, we have more economic transaction, are more likely to engage in digital services. This is basically an introduction. What should you do now? To reinforce the concepts, to reinforce these things, you want to work MCQs. You want to look at additional resources. Invest in yourself. The CPA exam is 20, 30, 40-year investment in your career. Don't shortchange yourself. We are here to help you. Study hard for your exam. It's worth it. Good luck and stay safe.